This is the compilation of all compilations. And I'm not talking music. I'm talking a compilation of evidence that all of these people that we've been told are gone aren't really gone. And I have put hundreds of hours into this, and I don't think it's speculation. I think what you're going to witness is evidence that they are still among us. Enjoy. Nah, couldn't be. I mean, he's got these shiny pearly whites. I mean, look at these things. They're perfect. Perfect white teeth. Not like Jimmy's all mangled. He's got goofy looking teeth. Right? Like that one looks like it's going back behind and eventually is going to look kind of like his real teeth. But I mean, Morgan Freeman's got all these freckles. All those freckles we would clearly notice on. Wait, people have freckles in the same spots. I mean, so they look alike and sit alike and have similar teeth and freckles. But, I mean, if it was really him, they would tell us because they put the truth right in plain sight.
Costume that looked like a harem type thing, you know, with sash and blousey, and I had a huge fro, and they put a band around my head, and I walk out on stage, first preview, audience, I guess it was preview. The free theater doesn't have previews, do they?
Yeah.
Do they?
Oh, yeah.
First preview. Then was the first time they had an audience, and I walk out on stage, and somebody way in the back said, "Sing Purple Haze."
It's not a good start to Othello, is it?
Oh, Purple Haze, Jimmy's most famous song. And I wonder when he stopped producing music because he died and Morgan Freeman came on the scene. I wonder, those couldn't be, there's got to be evidence that they're not the same there, right? Okay, he died September 1970. Okay. Oh, and Morgan Freeman's first role was in 1971. How convenient. You guys know I don't really think that Hollywood and the music industry and the government are just cycling through the same people over and over again to have a smaller system of control over your minds. I don't really think that. All for entertainment purposes. I know. Jim Morrison died of a drug overdose on July 3rd, 1971. But what if he didn't? What if he just decided to move his vocal talents into the political commentary world and instead of swaying people to the left, he pulled them back to the right? I know, it's crazy, right? I mean, they don't even really look alike, do they? Well, have you ever seen Jim Morrison looking a bit heftier? What about my good old side-by-side comparisons? They sure look symmetrical. And well, if this doesn't do it for you, you should stick around, because I got one of these. One of those smoking guns that I don't think you're going to want to miss, because, well, it might just sway your mind if I haven't done it so far. And if these side-by-sides aren't doing it for you, or their good old one-eye symbolism, pretty clever way to do it there, or their okay sign isn't enough for you, well, you know how they like to tell us right in plain sight, just like this. And stick around because this isn't even the smoking gun.
New update, ladies and gentlemen, inaugurated today on the EIB network. This is our euthanasia update.
Beautiful friend, this is the end. My only friend, the end. I'll never.
This is going to be a short one, so be ready on the close.
Again, this is the end.
But I never like to do these unless I have my smoking gun. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's see who these belong to. Who Who could they be? Oh, wow. 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 Let's see if there's any more. I feel like that's a very distinctive little mole there, but, we would have to remove that, but it looks like maybe it just got irritated a little bit. I wonder if there's anything under their nose. Let's check out under their nose. Oh, two very distinctive dots. Two very distinctive dots in the exact same place. Like I said, I know Jim Morrison died of a drug overdose, July 3rd, 1971. This was just the what if game, and I'm a satire count and all for entertainment. Any Marilyn Monroe fans out there? Well, if you are, and you want to remain one, I wouldn't keep watching. You see, I had a documentary playing in the background on the TV as I was doing my research, and Andy Warhol crossed the screen, and I took a closer look. And then I said, if there is anyone ever that is a character, I'm looking at him. And at first I thought that has to be George McFly playing Andy Warhol. But then I remembered that George McFly actually did play Andy Warhol in the Doors movie. That's a funny symbol. But this character looked awfully feminine. So I started doing my research on good old Andy Warhol, and it wasn't long before I remembered he was very famous for a Marilyn Monroe painting. And then my next step was to check the numbers. Do they line up? Did she die around the same time that Andy Warhol became famous? And would you imagine that? She passed away in 1962, and Andy Warhol became famous in 1962. But you couldn't ever imagine that this face could become this face, could you? I mean, when you really look at them, there's a chance, right? Well, what if I told you I found my smoking gun? Would you still not believe that they're one and the same? Well, I'm going to show you, but first I want you to get your mind right and clear it completely and allow the possibilities to just flood in, and don't be held prisoner by what you think you've always known. Let's take a look. Now, like I said, these faces couldn't possibly be the same, right? I mean, there would be clear and obvious answers to that. Like that, we would see that, right? Well, what if they just decided to remove that? And there would have to be other things, right? Like, I don't know, two very clear and distinct dots on her face and two very clear and distinct dots on his face in the exact same place. And I haven't even told you my favorite part of this yet. As I was researching, as I often do, I put some sort of TV program on in the background just for some background noise. And on this day, I chose Seinfeld, and I literally went through and just picked a random episode. And as I was researching this exact thing, this is what came on the TV.
Yeah, that was Joel DiMaggio.
The guy slept with Marilyn Monroe. He's in Dinky Donuts.
It was just a little gift from the big guy upstairs letting me know I was on the right track. Because synchronicities aren't coincidences. They're signs from above. They're letting you know that you're nosing around in the right direction. And I almost forgot to point out how identical their noses are. But of course, this is all for entertainment purposes. I know that Marilyn Monroe just happened to die the same year that Andy Warhol came on the scene. Total coincidence. And that her most distinguishable feature just happens to be in the exact same place of a scar from something that looks like it was removed. And this most certainly is not them just rubbing the truth right in our face. Definitely not. It's just he thought Marilyn Monroe was a great subject to paint. Entertainment only. I want to speculate on something for a minute. What if Kurt Cobain of Nirvana never really died? I wonder what he'd be doing right now. I wonder if he liked music so much that he would have just had to form another band. This is Nirvana, and well, that's the band Weezer. And boy, maybe it's just me, but if you change the eye color and the hair color and add some glasses, Kurt Cobain looks an awful lot like Rivers Cuomo of the band Weezer. Maybe it's just me though. He even kind of looks like him when he's smoking and Rivers Cuomo is dressed as a woman smoking. There's a resemblance there. But I'm being ridiculous, right? I mean, Nirvana was this mega hit. Why would he ever want to leave them and go to like a more obscure band like Weezer? And why would he fake his death to do it? I mean, I literally know people that cried over him dying. They were depressed. They wore black for weeks. I mean, that would be a pretty messed up thing to do, to fake your own death and then just join another band and go about your business making millions of dollars still. And, you know, the trauma that caused millions and millions of youth. It's a shame. It's really a shame. And if it were to ever happen, I speculated, I wish there was some sort of proof, but I don't know. I'm sure I can't find it. And if I were to find it, I'm sure I wouldn't find it in multiple places pretty easily. When you got these to see, it's pretty easy to see. But again, why would they do this? I mean, they were successful. Is it just to mess with people's minds and confuse them so they don't know what in the world is going on? But if they ever actually did pull this off, I know the way they operate. They would tell us right in plain sight, because it's some sort of sick thing where they're not impacting your free will if they just tell you about it.
Why didn't you wear the glasses? Yeah, it's amazing. Like, this is kind of like the Rivers Cuomo from the guy from Weezer look, right?
Yeah. Rivers Cuomo says he ditched that signature look, at least in those early days, in part because of this Nirvana video.
Cobain had these glasses on, and I remember seeing it and thinking, like, that is so amazing and so cool and so funny and so messed up.
And I know what you might be saying right now. No, Kurt Cobain's not alive. Dave Grohl killed him to get ahead so he could become the lead singer of the Foo Fighters. And if that's not even true, well, Dave Grohl would know about this, right? Well, what if Dave Grohl just decided to join in the Weezer fun with Kurt? Kurt, Rivers, Dave, Scott Shiner, Dave Grohl, Scott Shiner. I mean, it's pretty hard to hide the just ginormous nostril that Dave Grohl has, and you can conceal it a little, but come on. And I don't think this was just two of them joined the band. I think the whole band is playing the whole band, because this is another one of the members, and, well, looks pretty clear to me. But obviously, this entire thing was just entertainment, people. I know that these people are definitely not the same people, and those birthmarks I found, I just painted them in. They didn't really exist. Entertainment only. Oh, and if I didn't make it abundantly clear, why do they do this? To mess with your minds, to control your minds, to have you have a false sense of reality, to create a matrix around you that you can't break out of. The king of pop or the king of deception? I'm gonna let you decide, but I suggest you follow along because I have some pretty interesting information. Why don't we start at the end? Have you ever seen this video of the coroner's van that supposedly had Michael Jackson's body in it that didn't know it was being filmed? This guy thought he was going to capture them wheeling him out, and instead, he captured this. Now, I was very skeptical when I first saw this, so I had to do what I do, and I did my investigative work. 127602. Remember that number. So what I did is I went and I scoured the internet, and I found actual news footage of a helicopter filming the body of Michael Jackson going into a coroner's van. And you'll never guess what I found. Let's take a look at that number. Do we remember? 127602. And just in case your memory is not good, helicopter garage 127602. Now for me, this isn't enough to just automatically assume he's still alive. But when you keep digging, You'll see. This guy's name is Dave, and he's supposedly even a friend of Michael Jackson's. And have you ever heard him speak?
And there were all these Paul McCartney records, all over this, The Girl Is Mine, and, you know, this and that. 13 solo albums, solo appearances on TV shows. And there were all these Paul McCartney records. But of course you always feel things. I don't see Marilyn next to me. I don't feel...
And is this next clip just them putting the truth right in plain sight?
I felt like he had like Michael Jackson's spirit in him, because there were times that he even sounded like him talking, and it would just kind of blow my mind.
And you may not realize it, but he wasn't just the king of pop, but the master of disguise.
Michael Jackson was not just the king of music. Michael, who also had a talent for disguises, was also the king in this regard. The master of disguise.
Like I said, I'm just showing you some evidence. You make your own decision. But before you make your final one, why don't you listen to what the surrogate mother to Michael Jackson's children also had to say.
In that time, they've gone on some very unusual outings, often with Michael in disguise.
Yeah, he'd call, what are you doing? Nothing, what are you doing? Want to go to the video? Yeah. You know, we'd sneak out without security. Got caught. I was like, God, this is like a Beatles film. We're getting chased by people. We have to call security, bail us out. But yeah, we'd go out and do stuff.
Maybe Michael, like she said, just got sick of being chased around like he was the Beatles. And before I end this, I have a confession to make. I wouldn't listen to this man's music for 10 years in my car. I would turn it off immediately if it came on, because I was mind controlled by the TV. I watched one thing and I just assumed that this guy was an evil, disgusting man that did things with kids that I don't approve of. And what I realized once I woke up is that the TV controls your mind in more ways than you could ever imagine. I don't know what he really is or where he really is, but I have my thoughts and my ideas. But my biggest thought and idea is I just want you to know this is all for entertainment purposes. Of course, Michael died of a tragic drug overdose and he's no longer with us. God rest his soul. Entertainment purposes only. This is the video some of you have been waiting for almost 30 years, because I'm about to reveal the answers you've been looking for. Let me start this video where I usually end it though, because everything in it is purely entertainment. I know what happened to Tupac is what they told us in 1996, just for entertainment purposes. So since we know this is for entertainment only, let's pretend for a minute that Tupac didn't die. I wonder what he would look like 30 years later. To me, he looks an awful lot like Akil the MC, an awful lot like the former member of Jurassic 5. So much so that when you do the symmetry test, it comes out to be a perfect match. But not only is it a perfect match, he literally says he is Tupac. And I think some people just think he's joking around, but I'm gonna give you evidence in a minute that he's not joking. Because I found the smoking gun that will show you evidence that this is more than just a symmetrical coincidence. But let's first listen to what he has to say.
I seen somebody said Tupac is coming back this year and stuff. Well, I've been back, you know.
Now he says it so dead seriously and just bluntly and matter-of-factly that I think most people just think it's for funsies. But check this out. Now remember, this is for entertainment purposes only, and this means nothing. Let's look at that dot, and that dot, and that dot, and that dot, and let's just see who these belong to. I'm so anxious. I wonder who they could be. Oh, Tupac? Okay. Oh, Kill the MC. How magically interesting and coincidental. But like I said, this is for entertainment purposes only. I know that these two are not the same people. They just look so much alike and have symmetrical faces because we all have doppelgangers. And somewhere in the world, there's someone that looks just like you. Because Tupac died 28 years ago, and they would never, ever deceive us or create fake gang wars to pin people against each other. Nope. Entertainment only.